Tina-Desiree Berg here reporting for Status Coup News. We are now entering day 10 of the UAW United Auto Workers strike. We are in Michigan right now at the Marysville Mopar plant. Mopar is part of Stellantis. This is one of the parts plants that was added to the strike list Friday at noon by Shawn Fain. So as you can see, we have workers out here who are picketing the plant. Some things to mention. The reason that Shawn picked these parts distribution centers, we were up in Flint yesterday at one of them, Centerline, we were at the day before. These are very profitable facilities for these companies. The parts plants generate profit margins of 30 to 40%. So it's strategic in the sense that they are trying to go after their pocketbooks right now. So they've been chanting, we've heard no justice, no Jeeps, no parts, union power, whatnot. So we're going to be doing some interviews with these folks today. They are having a family day here. So they've invited people to come down with their kids, and they're going to be doing some picnicking. It's a Sunday, obviously, Sunday fun day. Yeah. Come talk to us. What's up? First of all, just introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us how long you've been here, what part of the UAW you are representing.
So my name is Eric Gold. I started here in 1996 with Mopar. So I've got just about 28 years. I'm the local EAP rep here for Local 375.
What is an EAP rep for folks that don't know?
Employee assistance, anybody that's battling issues that prevent them from coming to work.
Right, so this could be workplace injuries, which you have forklift operators here, things,
It's more drugs and alcohol, mental health, stuff like that.
Important stuff.
Yes.
So we were talking before we went live, and I would love to hear some of the stories that you guys are facing. I think the American public needs to hear the worker side of what's happening here. $16, $17 an hour. Temp workers. This is Stellantis. So, we were at GM Flint yesterday. They have a 2-year cap on their temp. You don't have that cap at all. So we're meeting workers that are working as temp workers 5 years, 7 years. They get transferred over to full-time. They lose cuts in pay when they do that.
Right.
So tell us some of the stories of folks that have been here at this facility.
Well, we've dealt with all of that. Back when I started, 119 days you were hired. Now there's no cap on temps. There's no guaranteed time when you were going to get hired. Right? We've had temps that have been here 5, 6, 7 years. You get hired, you take a pay cut. Shit's got to stop.
Yeah. And some of these folks probably have second jobs because they can't.
Absolutely. When you're we've got them out here. Mothers, single mothers, 2 kids. You're trying to raise your family, and you're making $15.78 an hour with no future, no guarantees, no nothing. And it's sad. I feel bad for them. Like I said, I got 28 years. I'm out here fighting for them. I'm pretty certain that my future is going to be okay, but I've got family that works here.
Right. So you're bringing up you're a vet, so you have been sort of grandfathered into older contracts. So you're that part. Mark Roos, who's the president for General Motors, had put out this op-ed where he's saying 85% of membership is fine. Let's just focus on that. You're spreading misinformation if you talk about this other 15%. That's how it sort of comes across, at least. And then he ended saying strikes don't work, which is just nuts. But
we take care of 100%.
Right. That's
right. All or none, right? That's why we're out here. We're out here for all.
How does Mark not understand that? That is the premise of a union.
Correct. I have no idea.
Some things just are, right? So, also, what is the starting for your contract? What is the starting price for that? Or
the wage?
Yes.
I think 15.
I've been here too many days now.
$15.78, something like that. But when I started in '96, it was like 13. So it hasn't moved. It hasn't moved at all.
I would say the opposite is true. It has moved down because
Correct.
once you adjust those wages for inflation, in fact, the Labor Bureau has that on there. You can go look at the stat. If you adjust the auto workers' pay for inflation, you look at a negative 20% increase. That same time period, this is one of the points that Shawn Fain has been out there making. Within that same time period, you've seen the CEO pay increase exponentially. I looked at the data on that. It was a 1,300%, over a 1,300% increase since the late 60s, early 70s. That's astronomical. So you can see where these two things have just fallen apart. So when these folks say it's untenable for us to give workers an increase in pay, is that the case?
They're full of shit. Full of shit. That's all I can say about that, yeah.
What's untenable is a continued increase in pay for the CEOs at the expense of workers, I would say, if you're looking at a broader economic issue. So out of all of the things that are on the list of things that you would like to get concession-wise from the auto companies, what is the top 2 or 3?
For me, it's commitment of products. It's elimination of the tiers, leave healthcare alone, definite wage and wage bump, and we need to do something for our retirees. They're the ones that built this. So
do you have pension, or was your pension taken away?
Pension.
You have pension.
Yeah.
Okay. But the young workers don't have pension.
They get a 401 match of 6% or something like that.
And then what happens when the market tanks?
Right.
So if the market tanks, you end up with nothing. I think they also talk about maybe replacing some of the profit sharing, which would be a step forward, but that can also be problematic if there's no profits one quarter, 6 months, whatever, a bad year, you end up with having no bonus on that.
Right, right. We want it in our wages. We don't want bonuses.
Yeah. You just want to be able to pay your bills.
Absolutely.
What is the minimum wage in Michigan? I don't know either.
I think it's $9.85 or something. I'm not sure.
Because it's
You're
different.
Not putting all this in there, right?
Oh yeah, we're live right now.
Oh shit.
Say hello.
My bad.
No, you are very articulate. You're great. I'm just curious. I'm trying to, in my brain, figure out where that puts the union contracts versus minimum wage.
I'll tell you, these guys that are starting, half of them going around a circle right now, they make $15.78. They go to lunch at McDonald's, Arby's. Those guys are making same wages as they are. A lot of people think of Mopar as a country club. These guys are not. They don't know we have a prime line in here. We prime and package all the sheet metal. These guys are lifting doors and fenders and hoods and deck lids all day long. No climate control, no nothing in there. It's hot, and you'll talk to them. They'll tell you their stories.
So one of the things you also mentioned to me that I think is really an interesting point is right now you've got management that's there in the facility. There's no workers except for one scab. They hired one scab guy who's in there working. And the management, and they're trying to package all of these parts right now, and they probably are fumbling around.
Yeah, you got 6 bosses, and they're trying to do the work of 300, and none of the 6 know what they're doing. So
I would like to see the CEO come down here and try to work here for a day and try to figure out what that stuff is. Maybe then they would have an understanding of how important your job is to the company. So I wanted to mention, because of that, John Deere, when they went on strike, they had the same sort of idea. We'll have a couple salaried workers come in here. Management can handle it. They ended up with an absolute disaster. People driving forklifts. The stories are people were driving forklifts into walls. It was a hot mess.
Right. Your guess is as good as mine. What's going on in them 4 walls?
I'll try to get in there later.
Please don't.
So what other things do you think are important that haven't been discussed? The media has been,
the media is one-sided, right?
Right. So if you want to get a message out there or correct the record on something that's been flying around, what would that thing be?
Listen to Sean Fain.
Did you see his Twitter the other day?
Absolutely. I follow I follow Sean.
All right, so folks that didn't see that, he had Samuel Jackson. I'm not sure what movie it was from. Does anybody know what that movie was? But he's like, TikTok, motherfuckers.
And that's our message.
So now we are day 10. So day 10, it's been going on for a hot minute now, not too deep in the woods, but we're getting there. How has morale been on the picket line?
Look at this.
No, they look very happy.
Look at this.
To me.
We're here as long as we need to be.
Right.
I don't think this fight's going to be over in a day, a week. We're here for the long haul.
You're here for the long haul.
We've got great leadership here. President Ron Scott, our chairman Brian Macker. Those guys have been manning the line 12, 14, 16 hours a day. We're not leaving. We're here for the long haul. Community supports us, as you can see. Our members are out here in full force. We'll wait it out.
We've had lots of people driving by and honking since we've been here. Lots of support, it sounds like. I'm sure every now and then some guy drives by and says something awful, but for the most part, yeah. I'm hearing a lot of solidarity. Part of that, I think, is that most Americans are feeling your pain. I think no matter what industry you're looking at right now, workers are having a hard time. Income inequality is greater now than it was in the 1920s. People are having a hard time making ends meet with the costs of goods going up so high. I mean, eggs are through the roof, milk's basic stuff you can't afford anymore on your salaries.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So, which drives me to say, like, why is it they say if we increase the wages, that's what drives inflation costs up, right? So that's been like an old economic adage that's been repeated ad nauseum, along with trickle down, whatever, for decades now. But we live in a time where we have very high inflation and wages have not been increased; they're suppressed. The opposite is true. So that leads you to understand that what's doing this? Well, it's profiteering. It's companies.
Corporate greed. That's destroying this country.
100%. All right. One last question we have to know. We're now entering an election cycle, and holy moly, every politician in town is coming out for their photo op. They want to be seen on the picket line with the workers. I think Shawn Fain has the right attitude about this. Show me the goods. I'm not going to give you our endorsement just for showing up on a picket line. You know, we have the PRO Act that could have been passed through Congress, dying on the vine. Trump is speaking at a facility that I haven't been able to verify yet, but it appears.
Who cares?
So, I mean, how do you feel about politicians and the way they do the photo? Do you feel like it's just photo ops?
Absolutely, absolutely. They're looking for an endorsement. Earn the endorsement.
Right. I'll feel you there. Right. Thank you for talking with us.
No problem. Thank you guys so much.
Right on.
Sorry about my voice.
Oh, no. I get you. You guys have been out here yelling your chants. I do want to talk with, is it Tom, the union president? Yeah. Ron. Sorry, not Tom, Ron. So we're going to talk to, should we come over there? We can go over there. All right, so we're going to walk over here. As you can see, it's family day. These kids are painting a UAW in chalk out here. These are the kids of the union workers here on strike today. So as we watch these picketers, the strikers out here on the picket line, I want to read through some of our donations. We have $20 from Ruth. Thank you so much, Ruth. We have $20 from Linda. Thank you, Linda. Linda says, thank you for covering the UAW strikes and for spreading awareness of why they are striking. I've learned so much from your coverage and noticed how much more relevant and useful your coverage is versus the short clips shown on the major networks. You are welcome, Linda. And then she follows that with less experts in the industry and more employees need to be interviewed on the news. Thank you from British Columbia, Canada. You're welcome, Linda, and thanks for being a member and for that donation. We appreciate it. And then we have John, who just joined as a member on Status Coup, along with YouTube members Brandon Bush and Jenny B. Welcome. We appreciate you guys joining. I'll say it again. We are funded by you folks directly. We don't take corporate donations. Nobody else funds us but you, so your donations, your membership mean the world to us. It costs us money to be out here, and we're happy to do it. But without you, we couldn't do it. So if you are not a member, please consider becoming one if you can afford it. If you can't, we understand that too.
No deal! No deal! No deal! You hear the girl?
Let's talk to the union president, then we can come back and interview more of these guys. Oh, look how cute the little... She's so cute.
So let's go get it. His name is Ron.
Yeah.
I want people to smash the like button and share the stream.
So we're going to go talk to the UAW president for this local here, but please remember to smash the like button, share the stream, get the word out. We want as many people to see these worker interviews as possible. We're absolutely the only ones out here doing this. Can you talk to us now, or is it a good time, bad time, maybe time?
Here for a while?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then I'd like to get in the line with my family.
Yeah, that's
Oh, right on, okay.
I'll get over there, I promise.
Okay, right on. All right, so he's got some stuff he's working on here. He's going to come talk to us in a hot minute.
See if you can talk to the mom. I think her name was Ashley.
Yeah. We have more people showing up. Ashley, is now a good time to chat? Or? Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, we should probably move away from the music thing. Oh, sorry. As it's switching.
Yeah, right here is good.
Oh, wait. Do you guys want to come talk to us too? Right on, okay. I think we have lots of folks that will talk to us here. They want to get their stories out for the most part. The folks that don't want to talk to us still want their stories out there. They're just a little bit shy. Some folks, they get in front of a camera and it freaks them out. I get it. I don't have that problem, but which is a good thing. Otherwise, I couldn't do my job. Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
What's your name?
Annabelle.
Hi, Annabelle. Ashley's your mom, right?
Yes.
Are you out here today supporting the...
Yeah.
Actually, I want to talk about your story because it's a story, and I don't think you're the only person dealing with this right now. So how many years have you been here at the Mopar plant?
I've been here 2 years.
And you're still a temp worker?
Yes, I am.
And you are a single mom, and you're trying to make ends meet, and this is what's happening.
Yes, yep, we are unsure of our future.
Yeah. So one of the things that the Mopar folks are saying now is they're threatening to close the plant. Do you feel like that's just they're trying to get leverage over you, scare you? Do you think they're serious?
I'm not sure, honestly. I feel like they definitely could if they really wanted to, because they have the funds for it. But also we do so much here. There's so much livelihood. There's families that matter, and we definitely deserve to keep what we have. It shouldn't have to go anywhere else.
Right. So also, a lot of the temp workers we've talked to, this is Mopar's part of Stellantis. They seem to have temp workers like 5-6 years, and nobody's batting an eyelash on the management side at that. That sounds pretty crazy to me that you would be a temporary worker for 5 years. You've clearly been there a long time. You're permanent.
Yes. Yeah, we're all here for the opportunity of what Chrysler can do for us and what they have done in the generations in the past. But it just seems like they don't want to anymore.
No, so that's the thing, right? So Chrysler was a company, then it became part of Fiat, which is an Italian company. Stellantis is headquartered in Denmark. So this is a multinational corporation now that's just chasing profits. That idea of being like a family, care about my workers, build loyalty feeling, it gets lost in that transfer of power over to there.
Yes, yeah. Our country, we deserve workers who could afford their own vehicle. You work for a company and it's hard to even purchase their product because of what they are paying their employees.
So this is day 10. Obviously, we've been on the strike line here for 10 days with you guys. It looks to me like morale is still way up. Is anybody getting panicked about anything yet?
I wouldn't say panicked. I think we're all just trying to stay level-headed about it and be optimistic as possible because, that's kind of all we got right now. So.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Labor takes a strike when there's no other options left. This wasn't your first course of action, right? Sean's been trying to negotiate with these guys for months now. You've been pushed into this.
Yes, it's quite sad that they haven't been able to come to an agreement yet, just because it's the only thing that has to happen.
On a personal story level, what are some of the hardships that you endure? I've talked to some workers that are taking second jobs to make ends meet, like all kinds of things.
Yes, definitely second jobs, any other kind of income, but I would say it's just over the hours that we work, being forced to work, and there's no... You have people aside you who are getting the profit sharing and all that, and then you're doing the same job and you're not getting it, and you're getting quarter of the pay, quarter of the benefits, third of it all, and it's kind of mind-blowing, honestly.
Right.
You wonder why are you doing it, but you're hoping for the opportunity. We're all here for the opportunity, and if there's no opportunity left, then which will not be the case, let's hope.
Right, so let's talk about that for a second, the hours. So I've talked to some folks that are working 12-hour shifts 6 days a week. What are some of the hours that are worked here?
Well, we have here it's 9-hour days, so we're forced to work 9-hour days, and then they mandate Saturdays as well. So you don't really have, if you have something going on, you don't have an option not to work it. You are forced. It's held against you. Of course, if you don't show up, you are terminated. So, in a sense, yes. So
you absolutely have to work 6 days a week. Otherwise, you don't have
as a temp, they mandate it. So they'll come up and they'll ask you, do you want to work? But ultimately, at the end of the day, they'll say you have to work. So whether you say yes or no, it's not a choice.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So frustrating. As far as media is concerned, I'm sure you've seen some of the coverage on, local, cable, whatever news. Is there anything that you're seeing being said that you feel isn't entirely accurate or doesn't portray the situation clearly that you would like to address?
I would just say it's a lot of when I feel like management is talking, it's a lot of exaggerations. For example, but it's like you could narrow that example down to facts instead of for example, and it's some outrageous number with some, and it's like you can't see the picture properly if you're not even putting out the realness, the trueness, the facts.
No, that's true. Like they were saying, if they gave everybody the contract that they were asking for, it would be like everybody would be making $300K. Or it was some crazy number. Where is he getting that from?
What number? Yeah, exactly. Where are you getting that number? So that to me, it's like I hear you, but also, what are you saying?
I mean, we've tried to do the math on that, and we can't figure out where that number is coming from. It seems
because it's just for example, and it's like, yeah, but your example is not a good example.
That's the one guy that's been at the plant 40 years that was grandfathered in with a pension, and he's including the pension. God knows what else. This is not.
Yeah, see, that's tiers. Eliminate the tiers. Everybody is getting paid something different, which is sad because we're all doing the same job.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't make sense. Now you mentioned the profit share, so the temp workers aren't.
Nothing.
You get no profit sharing, so it's possible that
we work so profit sharing is based off of the hours that you work. Well, if anything, the temps, we work the overtime hours without a choice. So, but yet none of that money is going into our pocket when it comes to the profit sharing. We're not accounted for hours. They don't tally that up and give you a total at the end of the year or quarterly, whatever that would be. No, it's just the full timer next to you is getting that money. And it's well deserved to you because, like I said, it's you put in those hours.
Well, hang on, that's true. So the argument here isn't that the full-time person should have that removed. It's that you should be given the same opportunity, the same rate of pay. And I think the full-timers would agree with that.
Most definitely. The plant is definitely filled with the full-timers, the tiers saying, that it's sad. There should be a 90-day. And they've all been in the same situation, 5 years, 3 years, whatever it should, whatever it is. But it's sad that here we are in 2023 after COVID and, the most profitable year that, Stellantis has had. And yet we haven't made any kind of progress. So it's only a hope that soon enough they will make a change just for the country itself.
Well, they might be sort of forced into it by what Ford did. So Ford did come back to the table and tell Sean that we will give COLA back. We will eliminate the tiers. It will be 90 days. After 90 days, all temp employees will automatically become full-time. Another thing that Ford granted was that you could strike for plant closures, which is something that I know is a big sticking point. So Ford's doing that. So where are Stellantis and GM on that?
I'm new to all this, but I would say it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Ford always seems to come into negotiation first, and then GM will follow, and then Stellantis will swoop in with the lowest, with the least. But at least we will get to something.
It's interesting to me because Ford still is very centralized here in Michigan, whereas Stellantis and GM are not necessarily. They do have obviously operations here, but it's not necessarily their home base. That might be part and parcel to the conversation. Another thing I noticed, the Ford CEO pay ratio to average worker is much lower than it is at Stellantis and GM. So what gives there?
Oh, I am not sure.
It is what it is, right?
Yes, yeah.
But it is something I noticed. So maybe Ford can, maybe force their hands, because the reality is if Ford does come back with another offer after this, which is probably going to happen, Ford gets back to work, that's going to give Ford a massive competitive advantage.
Yes, exactly. And then it will only push Stellantis and GM to come up with something because they're already going to be ahead as their buildings are still shut down, employees are still fighting.
Exactly. I mean, for me as a consumer, that would kind of be like, well, I'm going to go buy a Ford. What are these guys doing up here?
Yep. You pay your employees. You've come to a negotiation. There's,
Right.
Yeah. Good.
So speaking of, one of the other things that they're trying to put out there in the media, I don't know if you've noticed this, is that you folks, by doing what you're doing right now, that you're hurting consumers.
No, you're simply putting pressure on the company to make a change. Now, if that means the consumers have to take it is sad that this is what it has to come to, but ultimately there is a bigger goal here. So, everyone is stressed, everybody's worried, everybody feels the pressure on their shoulders, but it's just something that has to happen for, the long term.
You know, actually, what I sort of wonder is, like, why aren't they asking Mary Barr or any of these other Carlos Tavares, like, why aren't they asking the CEOs the same question? They gave themselves, 20-30% pay increases last year. Did that pay increase result in any pushback at all? It didn't. So why is it the conversation always ultimately focus on the hourly workers, like the folks that need the most help up?
Yes. Well, like you said, like they're quiet, and I think it's because they know they're wrong, and it's quite embarrassing because, everybody knows it now. So it's kind of like, how much longer can you hide behind numbers until...
Right. No, you're right. You can't, because the more your stories gets out into the media, the more people realize what they've been told about you being selfish is not true. I mean, $15, $16 an hour starting pay isn't extremely high pay. Telling a temporary worker it's fine for 5 years, switching them to full-time and then cutting their pay by $2 an hour, that's crazy. Like, I don't think there's any Americans that hear these stories and go like, oh, yeah, they're definitely selfish. That's what's happening here.
Yeah. No, especially with inflation. So it's only natural that here we are, and it's very different. Very different.
Do you guys have anything to say to people out there?
No.
No? How about you?
My dad's great.
Is that your dad? You want to come talk to us?
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Ashley, thank you for talking with us. Appreciate it. Thank you. So you're a temp worker, I believe you were telling me, right? So tell everybody what your name is, how long you've been here.
My name's Tony Thewis. I've been here for 2 years and 8 months.
And this is your daughter?
This is my daughter, yeah.
Hi.
What's your name?
Esme.
Are you shy?
Not usually.
Not usually.
The camera.
I get it. So now, how long have you been a temp worker here?
2 years and 8 months.
Oh, you just
Yeah.
said that, sorry. It's been 9 days, 10 days. See? We've been out here with you guys, so get a little
We appreciate it.
Yeah. So, how is it that they think that this has been so normalized that the bosses here, not the union bosses, I'm talking about management, are okay with people being temporary workers for years and years on end, and they don't seem to think it's a problem? I don't understand that.
No, me either. Not at all. It's really ridiculous. 90 days I can see. A year maybe, but come on, indefinitely, that's just ridiculous.
You know what? But that is what it is. It sort of is indefinitely. We talked to some folks 7 years, and they're still a temp worker at the Stellantis plant down in Toledo, Ohio. I'm like,
Yeah, it's horrible.
it's horrible. And meanwhile, they're telling the American public that you guys are asking for too much, that, if they give you what you're asking for, it'll bankrupt the company. I'm trying to think of some of the things that I've seen regurgitated as talking points. None of that seems to add up if you spend some time talking to workers. When I first came here and I learned about this temp worker situation, quite frankly, I was stunned. I had no idea.
Oh, me too. And I didn't even, they don't even make it known to us when we start here. Well, I thought, I'm coming to Stellantis, Chrysler, and that's going to be a good job and a good opportunity, and I've just been hanging out waiting for this contract. And if it doesn't, doesn't pan out, most of us temps are all saying the same thing. We're leaving. We can go back to our old jobs, back to McDonald's, and make this kind of money.
Okay, so we've heard a lot of workers bring this up to us. Like, I could go work at McDonald's, which would be less stressful for me, less dangerous equipment involved, for more money. What is Mopar thinking?
Right. I don't have no idea.
You're like, I don't know, I just work here.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck they're thinking. I mean, you would think they would want to keep good help around, and I don't understand it.
Well, but that's a good point. You would think that they would want to help to stay around, that they've trained already. It costs money to train employees with this kind of work, and when they have a high turnover, that ultimately costs them money. Why are they not mixing that into their figures?
I have no idea. No.
You just work here?
No, I just work here. I mean, if I was Stellantis management, if I ran the place, it'd be different. I'd get a guy in here, see if he worked out in 90 days and hire him.
Right.
And if he's no good, I would send him packing, but still, if he's working, he's working. And he deserves to get paid. He's working just as hard as anybody else.
I agree.
And, a lot of times the temps, we get the crap jobs. When we start out, and it's pretty rough jobs. Oh, yeah, longer hours. We're forced to work Saturdays. 9 hours, we have no say. And I can go on and on.
Tell us all.
Yeah.
Now's your chance.
Yeah. I mean, it can go on and on. It's Saturdays every week. If we were in full time, we would at least have the option to have every third Saturday off.
Right. Well, that's part of it too. You lose quality of life. Like Ashley was saying, that they mandate the Saturday 6-day working hours. They'll present it to you initially like it's a choice you have, but then you realize, like, no, if I don't do this, they're going to fire me.
Yeah. It's tough. You said it all, you know.
Well, that's because I've heard enough of you guys' stories now where I sort of have a really good idea about what's going on here. Let me ask you that. Other media folks may not be out here talking to workers. You might have heard some things, that they've said on news broadcasts that get under your skin a little bit, you feel need to be corrected. What are some of those things?
A lot of things, like the whole temp situation. They don't even talk about that, and they're saying, oh, you guys want 40%, and we don't want exactly 40%, but we, like a good raise, and that's just like a bargaining tool, I'm sure. I'm not in the UAW president, so I'm not really sure, but I'm guessing that's what it is. Same with the 32-hour, work week, which would be great. Everybody would love that, but everybody would be on board for 40 hours with decent treatment, and a decent wage.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. 40-hour work weeks didn't used to be a thing. Those became a thing because of union organization in the country. So, and as wild as 32 hours sounds to some Americans, there are European nations that do have 32-hour work weeks as a standard thing. And the argument that is made there that they is that they have more productive employees that are happier, work harder, and are more loyal and committed to the job when they are there. So there might be something to that. You're right. Nobody in the mainstream media, so to speak, I feel like that's kind of a trope to call it that, but they don't really bring up the temporary workers. I'm actually not sure if they realize that there are temporary workers that are on the job for 7 years. They might not know that, but then what's their excuse for not finding out? I'll table that for now.
I think they're on the same side as Stellantis,
Yeah, I mean, no, you're not wrong. So, one of the things I brought up yesterday was a lot of these companies, GM, Stellantis, Ford, they devote big ad dollars to cable news stations, others, and also the conglomerates that own the cable news stations, so it's bigger than that. So this must have an effect on some level on how they report things. I think you'd be naive not to see through that. What else do you have to tell America?
Well, pray for us, and, we're not trying to get more than we deserve. We're getting more, and this is all about the Americans, all across in every category of job. If we can get it, so can you, and we all deserve it,
Let me ask you one more question, just because you brought that up. There's this idea that's been floated around on the internet, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, the internet's, about having a general strike in the country. And a general strike would be pretty much all workers in all industries walking out of their jobs on the same day and picketing for maybe 1 or 2 days. Do you think something like that would have an effect on the country?
Oh, I absolutely do think so. I mean, it would be scary, but, we do have to stand up at some point, We got to do something.
Yeah, you're right. We have to do something. At some point, what's not tenable is a continuation of what we're doing currently. I know that the CEOs like to say what you're asking for is not tenable, but frankly, they've given themselves over 1,300% increases in pay over the last 3 decades. Where does that end? I don't know, but that money comes from somewhere. It's a closed pie. It's just not ever expanding amounts of money. If she gives herself a 26% increase, that's going to come from your pay scale. It goes to the top. So that's just, basic math.
Right. They're all making buku bucks and stock buybacks, and it's crazy.
Another good point. Sean Fain was saying, we interviewed him a few days ago. He was mentioning, and I didn't realize this. Oh, right on. Glad you watched that. One of the things he brought up that I thought was crazy was the buybacks, 1,500% increase. That is astronomical. That is like sort of falsely inflating the stock price in a way, right? The long-term effects for the company and the health of the company, that's nil. That's just a way to pump up the price right now in the short term. So how many of these CEOs are actually looking at the long-term health of the company? It would seem to me having lower employee turnover would be more helpful than doing what she's doing or he's doing, whichever CEO you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
You endorse that?
No, I agree with what you're saying. I think it's, I don't.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for talking to us. I got you. Go back to your picketing.
All right.
Do you have anything to tell everybody?
Say hi, Mom.
Say hi, Mom. No?
Thanks.
Absolutely. So, we're talking about the stock buybacks just now. And I think this is a really good point to make. 1,500% increase in stock buybacks in the last 4 years is what Sean was talking about. This pumps up the value of the stock in the short term, not necessarily about the company health in the long term. If I'm a CEO, I'd be more concerned about that second thing, not the first thing. You can't keep buying stock off the open market to goose your price. Eventually that collapses. It seems to me investment in employees, investment in people power, creating more loyalty, having folks that are happier and more productive would be a better spend of capital. But I'm not the CEO of Stellantis, so there you go. That's probably why I'm not the CEO of Stellantis. We're going to see if we can talk to a few more of these workers. It's a family day here. We are at the Mopar plant in Marysville, Michigan, if you're just joining us. This is one of the 38 locations that was added on Friday at noon by Sean Fain. These are all focused on parts distribution areas. I think that was a strategic choice in the sense that these parts of the company are all making profit margins of 30 or 40%. So this will definitely hurt their bottom line.
Get Ron.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Hey guys, I'm going to remind everyone to smash the like button, share the stream. If you're not a member of Status Coup already, please become a member. StatusCoup.com/join, $5 to $10 a month. And if you cannot do that, we also have a donation page, StatusCoup.com/donate. We're gonna try and get the local UAW president of Eric.
Give you that in case you wanted to.
No, I do want to.
So.
Tell her I do.
I believe they're local 371, right? 371.
375.
375. So local 375.
All right.
There you go.
So we want, let's get in front of
Everybody in the background.
So, Ron, what is your position in the union? Tell us a little bit about your background.
President of Local 375. It's my 6th term. I represent the Chrysler facility here in Marysville. I represent the Maypaw unit on Michigan and Davenport Huron. We represent SBM, the janitorial company.
Oh, okay. So that's a big wide swath there. I want to ask you right off the top a question I have about the way they want to consolidate the Mopar plants. They've been threatening to close some of these facilities. So the idea is they want to take 3 of them and consolidate them into one. What's the story there?
Yeah, they're looking at some kind of super hubs or something like that where they want to combine the 18 Mopar facilities into a handful of them. And they want to move them families and them people all over the country to do that. So,
Wait, so this would be a massive consolidation, not just in Michigan, but across the entire country?
one thing that we're not guaranteed of at this point, because we're still in negotiations, is that the fact that all these people get to go with them jobs either. The company will report out that they have everybody taken care of, but that ain't always the case. And sometimes what they call taken care of is they shut down a Belvedere plant in Illinois, and we took on 35 people from there that had no choice but to move to Michigan to go with these jobs to protect them pensions and the wages that they make. So, and that was from a facility that was profitable, had the best attendance in the company, and had everything going on. They put them people out of there for leverage in these negotiations, and that shouldn't be allowed. Mopar Marysville makes $1 billion profit a year reported to us by the company, so it's even more than that. And they want to put our plan up for leverage and negotiations. These people come to work every day and hump a prime line, and there was sheet metal that'll slice you in half. And they do that job. They work these jobs through the pandemic and COVID, and now it's our chance to get a lot of them the gains that they deserve in there, and they're not coming to the table. We have people in this plant that make $15 an hour all the way to $32 an hour doing the same work. Some get a pension, some don't. Some get a bonus, some don't. But they all do the same work. So it has to change. And we're in this fight now to get it done. We're going to get it done.
That doesn't make sense that you have all these multiple tiers for the same job. I wanted to ask you about profit sharing as well. So some folks are getting that, as you mentioned. The newer hires are not. Was that part of the 2014 contract? And are you looking to get that back?
Yes, that's what we're fighting for right now, is to get all these temporary people, part-time people switched to full-time, get their wages where they should be. In this facility alone, part-time people are working 60 hours a week for this company to get the product out, and they're refusing to make them whole and protect them in here. We do a good job here in Marysville. We always have. It's a nice area to work, and we're getting it done for them, and they're not coming to the table. And if they are, they're using us for leverage, and it shouldn't be allowed. You know,
Right.
People's lives are at stake. You know.
Well, I feel like you guys have now flipped the switch, can't talk anymore, on the leverage, because these parts and distribution centers, they're very profitable for the company. They have profit margins of 30-40%, which is quite large. So you're kind of hitting them right now where their pocketbook is and trying to get your leverage back. You're talking about how they've closed some facilities, moved them over. We interviewed a guy, one of those guys, at a different Mopar plant the other day, and I was floored because when they moved him over, he had a $10 cut in pay because apparently this new contract caps out at $25 an hour, and at the older place he was making more than that.
And that's another thing that they're standing behind, and our new leadership in the International Union is not letting this happen no more. They're not going to come back with a contract until them things are fixed. And it's important to get them fixed. I mean, for people, for their futures, for the future of these plants, you know, that provide, like you said, a profit for Mopar. But because of corporate greed, they want to make more profits at the expense of people that have done it for them, instead of being an American company and sticking with their people. You know, this is what we do. This is what we have to stand up for. And Local 375 is 100% behind our National Bargaining Committee. Not only our UAW president, but every single brother and sister that sits at that table right now on our behalf. This is the most important contract I've been involved with in 30 years of my career, and 20 years as an elected official.
Let's focus a little bit deeper on Stellantis right now, since this is part of the Stellantis group. Stellantis is more of an international company than it used to be, right? So you've been here long enough to see all those transitions where it was just Chrysler, then it was Chrysler Fiat, which is part Italian, and now Stellantis, which is actually headquartered in Amsterdam, so not like a whole nother place now. Obviously, they have employees all over the world. One of the facilities I believe they moved to was in Italy, actually. Do we have any background information on that? Was that sort of subsidized by the government there? Why would they choose to move workers from the United States to Italy? It's kind of a puzzle to me.
Yeah, that stuff right there, I don't know a whole lot about, but I know one thing, that they're trying to downsize America and these jobs, you know, so they're taking them corporate jobs, they're trying to take all the jobs. Everyone's under attack, I mean, you know, and especially Mopar in this negotiations, you know.
That just kind of blows my mind. I mean, as, you know, I'm 52 years old, so Mopar has been part of the American fabric since I was a teenager. I knew what Mopar was, you know, when I was 17. Like, to me, this is like really the end of an era. I don't understand that. Let me ask you about Ford. Ford has come back with some concessions. They're going to give COLA back. COLA, for folks that don't know, is the cost of living. Really, that's an important thing because especially right now you see inflation increasing. You know, if you look at auto worker pay over the last 2 decades, if you adjust it for inflation, it's down 20%. So we are looking at wages that are so suppressed, they're negative if you're adjusted for inflation. Meanwhile, obviously, the CEOs are not suppressing their pay. They're giving themselves fat increases. Nobody is asking the CEOs why they are harming the consumers, but they are asking Sean Fain the other day at the press gaggle. We had multiple press people are asking him why he's harming consumers, which is, to me, in my brain, is the wrong question. That's not even, I mean, you folks are also consumers. So what is your response to that?
My response to that would be I support President Fain 100% on what he said. They're making billions and trillions of profits. They're getting it at the top. They're giving it to the shareholders. And as long as we keep taking little contracts and little advances, they'll continue to give it to theirs. But the only economy we're going to affect by these strikes is their economy and their money and their shareholders, who they give the money to so they can keep their positions and CEO low positions, and they're taking it from the workers who are the sweat off their backs and literally the things that they lose to make this happen for the company. It's a shame we got to be out here to walk these lines for what we're asking for. And when it comes down to it, the public will see all these proposals. I'm talking about what's going down in the negotiations, and we're not that far off from what we're asking for that they should be able to deliver. They move people from state to state with a snap of the fingers. We have membership here that come from Illinois that have lost relatives while they were here because they had to pick up and leave them, literally. So we know the stories in this union, and we're going to fight today, tomorrow, and every day until it's changed.
Let me ask you about the hours worked, too. You hear these stories, people are mandated to work 12-hour days at some facilities. Here, I think it's a 9-hour day. But also, 6 days a week. In some cases, we talked to some folks in Ohio that are working every day practically. Ashley, who we spoke to earlier, basically says, well, they come and they ask you if you want to do it, but then they sort of make it clear to you if you don't, you're going to lose your job. So that is a mandate. I mean, you're going to do it, right? That's not a quality of life. Sean had taken some flack for mentioning a 32-hour work week. I don't think that's crazy. My family's from Sweden, so we have, So that, to me, that's just quality of life. And you have a higher productivity with a happy workforce that is working lesser hours, but they're more committed to that job. They work harder when they're there. They're loyal to the company. There are benefits to that. But somehow, for some reason, in our psyche here in the United States, that just doesn't, check, right? It's like if you're not working 60 hours a week, you're just slumming it or something. Why do you think that is?
Well, that's because as far as it goes, American worker hasn't been paid. The auto worker hasn't been paid enough in 32 hours to enjoy that time. If their pay was right, they wouldn't be here 7 days a week. And this plant, for instance, we've been on a 7-day operation for 3 years where these members come in every day to make that $1.5 billion profit. And they're on them jobs 7 days a week to do that because they need that money. They need that time and a half and that double time. And regardless of a 32-hour week, a 40-hour work week, our membership will be here to provide them parts to the customer, to build them vehicles for the customer. No matter how many days a week it takes, we want to be paid right for it. We want to be treated right for it on them jobs.
Yeah. Let me ask you about pensions. Pensions used to be a standard thing that American workers got. It isn't just auto workers that have lost their pensions. Just about every job in the country has lost their pension. Are pensions a thing of the past, or is there ever going to be a possibility of bringing that back again?
I mean, they're in there. Our National Bargaining Committee and the UAW's in there right now trying to make that a reality. I don't know personally if that'll happen. That's a tough fight. But I do know one thing, that the International Bargaining Committee has set it up for the company to make investments into 401ks. They're going to increase, hopefully, them investments. And if we don't get them pensions back, we're going to make sure that our membership has the chance for insurance when they retire, and make sure the company and themselves are investing in their later future. So,
that would be, it's a fight, but that would be better than nothing, which is what a lot of workers have now. I want to also ask you about job security. This is on the table, and the reason it's on the table, I want folks, our viewers, to understand this. So what happens if you get, the pay increases, you get the 90-day temp to full-time worker, that's eliminated, so these folks are taken care of there. What good is that if they close the plant? You don't have a job. Those gains get evaporated because there's just not a job there anymore. I think that one of the Ford concessions that has not had as much discussion as it should have is the fact that you could strike at plants that they're looking to close. That's leverage, right? How important do you think that is? And do you think there's a way to get these guys to stop outsourcing their jobs?
I think that is very important. I think that's one of the reasons we're still at the bargaining committee, because with Stellantis especially, that's my world, if we get the chance to strike them on a plant closure, it'll prevent them from striking them for corporate greed all the way, you know. We'll have a leverage to shut them down, and then they'll have to show facts of why that plant goes down, not because there's more money to be made in Mexico. We're making money. They made $12 billion in the first 6 months, and we can't get our membership a fair wage, and we can't catch up somewhat with inflation. So that's very important language that they're fighting for, mostly in Stellantis. I know I heard Ford already gave into them concessions, and we're going to stay at the table in Stellantis until we get them to prevent issues like Belvedere, Illinois, Sterling stamping, where they just cut people out of there and they're shipping them all over our company. So.
You know, you're old enough as I am to remember NAFTA. I want to talk about NAFTA for a second because I think that is the epicenter of outsourcing for jobs. NAFTA is a prime example of what I would call the uniparty in this country. So that was originally George Bush Sr.'s bill. He couldn't get it through Congress, but Bill Clinton was able to do that. So you had first a GOP, then a Democrat, all both doing the same thing. If it wasn't for NAFTA, I don't know that we'd be looking at where we are today with the manufacturing job losses. So my question is this: why is it that American politicians are constantly giving handouts to corporations, whether it's through a loan, whether it's through a bad trade deal, whatever those things are, without stipulations to protect American jobs or to protect labor in this country? It's both parties that do this.
Well, in the UAW now moving forward, since the election was over and the people vote, the UAW's position is not to let that happen, you know. So we're going to keep fighting them issues too. I mean, you know, I don't know enough about NAFTA to speak directly on it. I do know that it was the Democratic Party that ended up signing that bill into law. But I do know that in my career in the union, I've been to Washington, D.C., lobbying against Democratic trade policies and Republican trade policies in the union. We're going to stand behind what's right, and we're not going to put a party on it and guarantee them support until they start locking American workers into these jobs and union people into these jobs.
You know, and I appreciate that. I think Sean Fain made remarks to the fact that you're not going to get our endorsement unless you actually show us the goods. You come up to our picket lines, you do your photo ops, you ask for our endorsements, you say you support us, but where are the goods? Where are you actually doing the work? You know, the PRO Act, which is in Congress, that's dying on the vine, even though it made it through the House of Representatives. This would, change the way right-to-work laws affect unions in the country, and I think that's very important. Right-to-work laws are designed to bankrupt the union, right? You have a lot of workers that are benefiting from these union contracts that you guys are organizing on, but they're not paying dues because they can opt out of that under a right-to-work law. And the whole point of that is that they want to bankrupt the union. They don't want you guys to have the coffers there for strike funds or for the things that are necessary to keep going. So the PRO Act, why is that dying on the vine? You know, the Democrats will tell you they need a filibuster-proof Senate in order to do it, not just a majority. That might be true. So then we flip to the next thing. Well, then why are you guys not getting rid of the filibuster? Because they don't want to do that. It's a point of frustration. I feel like maybe I'm venting a little too much here, but I cover this stuff, and I'm like, really, we're going in circles on this, aren't we? Right. Meanwhile, people are suffering out here.
And then for the first time, the UAW's told both parties, if you want our support, you start setting policies for American people to be on these jobs. When we move into EV, they're fighting every day for them to be Chrysler jobs. They want to make Belvedere and do a super hub and a battery plant. And the union's telling them are Chrysler jobs, them are union jobs with union wages under a union contract.
So let's talk about that a second, because I think the political parties are both trying to politicize EV. EV is coming. Nobody's disputing that. Why aren't we organizing and turning? You're right. They should be labor, UAW jobs, end of story. That is the issue here, is organizing labor around that. It's not whether or not they're coming. But I feel like both parties have different angles on, I guess, the environmental aspects of what that is. So they're turning it into a labor fight, and it doesn't need to be a labor fight, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think with EVs right now, our UAW is fighting to protect them jobs. I think that President Fain is the first UAW president to tell the President of the United States, you either quit giving them companies money, guaranteed money, without American workers first and union workers on them jobs, or we're not going to support you. And he means that.
Okay, so I agree with that strategy. That was sort of what I was trying to get out with. They give these guys loans, but there's never stipulations to protect the American worker. I think all of those loans, all of those subsidies should come with stipulations from the government. That is taxpayer money. That is taxpayer money. There's no reason why these folks should not have a union at their EV plant. That's crazy to me otherwise. So I'm with you on that. One last question, and I think it's an important one. Media, which obviously I'm a part of, you must be seeing some stuff spreading around on the news stations from folks that haven't been down here talking to the labor side, not talking to the workers, not getting the details on what the temp worker situation is. What things have you seen spread around, whether it's cable news, local, whatever, that you think is wrong, needs to be corrected, gets under your skin maybe a little bit because it's a little bit off, stuff like that?
I mean, for the most part, I don't follow the negativity. I tell my members out here there's only one way to be on the picket line, and that's positive. But the things that frustrate me, because they see, this is the first time our national negotiations has been in the public eye until it was done. But they see our proposals, they see a 42% increase, and then people start judging UAW workers and stuff, but they don't understand that I hired in this company in 1993, and in 90 days I topped out at full pay at $15.60 an hour, and in 2023 the starting pay is $15.70. That's the problems,
That's insane. And all of that, can I tell you, that is framing. So when I read that data, my framing in my brain goes like this. They're asking for a 40% increase, but what's the reason for that? I go to the Labor Bureau and I look at the data, and I see auto workers adjusted for inflation are negative 20% right now over the last 2 decades. So I look at that and goes, okay, that's the first 20% that they need to get back. And to be fair, in 2008, 2009, when they asked you folks to come to the table when they were bankrupt, you did. And they told you folks that they would give you these things back when the companies were profitable. That has never happened. That's just a fact of the matter. So, I mean, right off the bat, we're 20% just in that depression right there. So really what you're asking for is like make up for what we've lost, make us whole for that. And then we need COLA. I mean, prices are expensive. Rents are sky high. Grocery store, the eggs, $7, come on.
Right, in 2009, we gave concessions to a 4-year agreement because the company was in trouble, and we were guided by the union that we needed to make these concessions. And as the leader, I agreed we needed to come to the table and make sure we got this company through. What we didn't know in that time was, in that first year of that concession contract, our workers got a $900 profit sharing bonus. So in the first year of that concession 4-year contract, they made a profit. And we do know every year after that they made billions in profits, and we were locked into a concession agreement. And now it's 2023 and they still haven't made it right. And we're out here for that. It's not greed, it's not union greed, it's not worker greed. It's about what's right, and it's corporate greed, what's stopping us from being in there, getting our job done for the customer that we service 7 days a week, around the clock in this company.
Thank you for talking with us, man. Oh, actually, you know what? I gotta ask you, wait, hang on, I got one more quick question. Some folks are also saying 10 days on the strike line, we're getting deep in there, morale's eventually going to go down. But I got to say, what I'm seeing here today is positivity, joy. We're dug in. We are not giving up this fight. Have you seen any instances where people are starting to get upset or?
No, we haven't seen nothing like that in Local 375. We're early in. We're going to keep our people out here. They're hungry. They want the increases that they're deserved. We're all in it together. When we're out here on the strike line, there's no one person more important than the other. We're all out of a job right now. We're all standing for what's right. So,
right on.
All right,
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that is the United Auto Worker president here for this local. Let me come back into frame. Sorry. So we're out here if you're just joining us. This is a Mopar facility. Mopar is part of Stellantis. This is one of the locations that Sean Fain added on Friday at noon. It's parts distribution. These individual parts distribution places have really large profit margins, 30 to 40%. So they're very profitable for the country, for the company, not the country. So it actually makes sense that they would add these to the list and try to, leverage up on that. We're going to talk to some more workers. Also, I'm going to check. Let me check for super chats. Please consider becoming a member too. If you can afford it, you can do so at our website, StatusCoup.com, or on YouTube, $5 a month. It really helps us get out here and tell these stories. It's expensive being out here with the equipment, hotel, food, airfare, whatnot. We want to keep doing this, right? This is Jordan and I love what we do. John loves what he does. We're telling the stories of the workers out here. So if you can afford to support us, we'd appreciate it. We obviously don't take corporate funding. All right, we do have some new members. Hang on, let me. All right, so, whoa, we got a ginormous donation here. Jillian, Jillian, $100. That's insanely generous. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. That was on our Status Coup website. Our new YouTube members are Extropian, subscribed with Twitch Prime. Well, we have a Twitch member. And Dennis Copard. YouTube members Brendan Bush and Jenny B. And then, no, we already read that one. Okay, so that's the new ones. We're going to go over this. Okay. Oh, hey. How are you? Thank you for talking to us. So tell me your name, a little bit about your history here with Mopar and all that.
All right, my name is Brian Macker. I'm the shop chairman here at Local 375.
Okay.
I've been here for almost 28 years, and I've been in this building for 28 years. I never missed one day. I hired in 28 years ago, and I've been here ever since. Never had to go to another plant.
So you're one of the fortunate few that's a vet at the same place. You're out here in solidarity, obviously. You've seen the changes that have happened with the company. So when you were first here, it was Chrysler, American company. Now it's a multinational conglomerate based in Amsterdam. Do you think some of the degradation and temp workers being out here 3 years, not being hired in full time, I would call suppressed wages? If you have the same hiring wages you did 20 years ago, that's a problem. Obviously, things have increased in cost. That makes no sense. So walk us through some of those changes that you've seen happen through the years and why you think we're at the place that we are right now today.
Yeah, when I hired in, excuse me, sorry about the voice. When I hired in, I've been on the line for probably 30 hours now. We just went out the other day, so yeah, the voice is gone. When I hired in, it took me 3 years to get to full scale. We started in 119 days. Either they hired you or they let you go in a temp language. So all we had to do was be in the building 119 days. Right before I hired in, it was 90 days. That went for a long time, and then all of a sudden they came that it didn't matter how long you were in the building. We got temporary employees in it. This lady right here has been in our facility for 4 years. They can force her 6-7 days a week. She really has no union representation. We represent her because that's how we do it. But the company can do whatever they want. She goes to buy a home or a car. She really don't have a job. I mean, there's no guarantee they can walk her out tomorrow and say, we're done with you. So they need to go back to either hire these people, give them an honest wage, and give them a job, or let them go earn a job somewhere else. This is ridiculous holding tempers. They got low wages. They don't have the same health care. They don't get personal days. They don't get vacation days. They're basically, it's almost like it's slavery. I mean, basically just treat them like they're not even human beings. They got families just like we do, and they have a right to have a good job and have homes and have some stability. And they don't have stability. They're scared to death.
No, they don't. I mean, we've talked to temp workers that have been temp workers for 7 years. 7 years. That's insane. Once you hear that, you're like, okay, I understand that, like, all these beefs are really obvious and clear, but a lot of the media isn't talking about how these temp workers are here for 7 years without a guarantee of anything. And on top of it, they're asking them to work. You're right, 6-7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, like, with no guarantee of anything. So it is very unfair. It's understandable. Do you feel like those Stellantis and GM in particular, Ford, I think there's a less of a problem with it there. Are they trying to leverage workers against each other by doing that? Do they want the temporary workers to resent the folks? Because I don't see that happening, but maybe they're hoping for that. What I see is the opposite. I see you guys out here saying, yeah, we need to bring these folks up. And I see the temp workers say, no, he should keep what he has. He deserves it. But why don't I also have the same thing, right? So this is solidarity to me.
Absolutely, this is solidarity. And yeah, the companies do want it. The companies are trying to divide us. We're all in there fighting for something different. Some people want full-time. Some are looking for pensions. Some just need raises. But we're not divided. You can see we're not divided. We're fighting for the temporary employees. Everybody deserves the same wage. We deserve the same pensions. We deserve our health care. We come in and we do a job. These companies they made $12.1 billion this year. Stellantis did $12.1 in 6 months. And they tell us we're greedy because we haven't had a raise in 15 years? Come on.
I mean, hang on. It's worse than not having a wage. You guys have wage depression. If you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics data, I've said this repeatedly because I think people need to realize this. If you adjust the wages for inflation, you're negative 20%. So asking for a 40% increase to me is like, well, give them the 20% they've already lost. And now let's look at where we're at in the country as far as cost of living. There's no COLA left. I think, Ford's brought that back, but Stellantis and GM not yet. They need to. How are you supposed to pay a $2,200 rent a month on $15 an hour, especially if you don't know if you're going to have a job tomorrow?
And you don't know if you're going to have a job tomorrow. Again, like I said, they made $12.1 billion in this facility, and they say we're greedy, right? And like you said, back in 2009, the UAW gave up money when we went into bankruptcy. We gave $1 back. We had no raises. We stood up with the companies. They suspended all this stuff. It wasn't they didn't take it away. They suspended it. Now they make billions and billions of dollars, and they're saying we're greedy, that we're asking for too much. We are at 40%. We just want back what we had coming plus where we should be today. We should be up there in the $40 an hour mark if we were to stay with the cost of living. Last contract, we got a 6% raise, and cost of living went up 18%. So we're 12% behind. Families got to work 2 jobs. They don't have time with their children just to make ends meet. And it's ridiculous. This isn't the American dream. And everybody thinks that we're they're greedy. They want more. They want more. All we're asking is for our fair share. We want to come in. We want to put a good product out. We want to be profitable. But we want to have time with our families. We don't want to have to work 60 hours a week to make ends meet. And that's what we have to do. Right. Especially these temporary employees making $15 an hour. They can't. A lot of them are living with their parents because they can't even afford their own homes.
No, it's crazy.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy. So the talking heads over at CNBC, when their brains implode with the idea of giving you folks a raise, they come up with all these reasons as to why not. A common one that they pull out of the hat that's been around as long as trickle-down economics is that wage increases in wage automatically leads to inflation in prices. We know this isn't true, and I don't know how they can keep saying this. Here we have examples of wage depression, right, where we're adjusted for inflation, you're negative, and yet we have skyrocketing inflation without wages going up at all. So obviously there's a disconnect there. It seems to me that is clearly profiteering from the company, right? That's just more greed. They know they can get the higher prices. Part of that is also the conglomerates. Everything's been consolidated now into big companies, right? Where you used to have smaller companies competing for consumers. We don't have that anymore. That's true of my industry too, right? You've got just 5 or 6 big companies and they control everything. Part of the problem as well. So, but they're gonna keep trying to sell that idea to the American public. So I guess what I want to know from you is what is a couple of the things that you've heard these folks say that just kind of makes you want to blow your top?
Well, the thing that really makes me want to blow the top, they say it costs too much money and we're greedy. I can't get off the greediness, right? We're not greedy. It costs 5 to 7% labor to build a vehicle. Vehicles went up 30 to 40%. The CEO's got a 40% increase. They make billions or millions of dollars a year, right? I mean, I think the one is at $40 million a year. Yeah. And we're asking for our temporary employees to make more than $15.97 an hour. It just makes me totally disgusted in my stomach. I mean, you want to talk about greedy? The companies are greedy. It's unacceptable. And this is why we're out here today in solidarity. We want what's ours and what we feel that we just want a good contract. We stand behind our international union. They're fighting for us, and we're going to take nothing less than a good contract.
And I think most Americans get that, right? Because they're also feeling the pain of income inequality. This is a problem not just in the auto industry, but across the board. People are just having a hard time making ends meet. Income inequality is on the rise everywhere. So I think that creates a more solidarity-driven environment for which you guys to strike in. And that's quite a bit different. You brought up 2008, then 2008, where these companies were facing bankruptcy. You came to the table. You didn't have to do that, but the UAW did come to the table, and they said, we like our jobs. We don't want you guys to go bankrupt. We'd like to keep working here, so let's work together and figure this out. So it's kind of a, stabbing you in the back. You said that these things were suspended, not eliminated, and that's a really good point. That doesn't get discussed. They suspended them. They said they would bring them back, but they have not done that, even though they've been profitable for years now.
Yep, exactly. Greed. I like greed, right? They suspended them in 2008 and 2009, and it was a suspension. They said as soon as we get profitable, they come back. Last year, Stellantis itself made $18 billion. Like I told you, this year they made $12.1 in 6 months. They're at a record of $24 billion. They're selling more cars for a higher price, and they're making more money. And we just want what we feel we deserve, and that's all we want is what we lost just to get up. We're the middle class, right? We're not greedy. We want to bring the middle class up. Now we're the lower middle class. We used to be the higher middle class, and it's horrible. And these companies are making billions of dollars off the backs of these people, and they don't care. We have a DCID number. We're not names. I got 35 people that came from Belvedere last year. Half of their families still live over there. The one guy was just telling me the other day in the plant, he's got 4 children, and they're still in Belvedere. He comes here 6 days a week, sometimes doesn't see his family for 3-4 weeks. Doesn't know if he's sell his house down there because he doesn't know if he's going to have a job here. Now they're talking about moving him back there. What about our children?
Wait, hang on, wait. They're talking about moving him back there now?
Well, they're talking about putting product back in Belvedere. So if Mopar goes into Belvedere, there could be a possibility he could move back into that facility when they just uprooted that whole town, right?
Right. No, they did. And in fact, I want to ask you about this. We spoke to a worker over at Centerline who had taken the job there because he had been, I think it had been Belvedere where he had been, but he had been making more money over there. And when they transferred him to Centerline, he ended up losing, wait for it, $10 an hour in pay.
Yep. Yeah, because they feel that Mopar's non-core. They don't even feel we're part of the building, so they call us non-core. They top us out at $25 an hour or not, and that's where we're at. So when him come out of manufacturing, he was at full scale, and they dropped him down to $25 an hour, and either said take the job or hit the road. And that's you just can't. It's greed. Again, it's greed.
It's shitty is what it is. I'm just going to say it. It's shitty. Giving somebody that's been loyal to your company like that, and this is how you treat them. I have not heard the word non-core before. Explain to us what that means.
So 2 contracts ago, they came out and they said Mopar, they consider us non-core because we're in warehousing. We don't actually manufacture a car. We do replacement parts, right? That's what we do. And they said that we can't pay you full scale. You guys are non-core to the company. So they knocked us down to $25 an hour. The people that were here stayed, but the people coming in below us, they'll max out at $25 an hour right now. That's the most they'll ever make. Anybody coming out of manufacturing got shoved into Mopar, took the $10 an hour pay cut like you talk, right? So in our company right here, this facility right here, Marysville, we made $1 billion in profit for this company, $1 billion with 300 employees. So you tell me how we're non-core.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. How do they figure that you're non-core? So non-core to me implies that we can just go poof, you're gone, and it won't matter to the functioning of the company any longer. But I don't see how that's even possible. Where would they go for what would they replace you with?
We try to outsource the parts, send them off to somebody else, right? That's what they're threatening now. They want to move us, and they basically said, hey, if you guys don't come to the table with that, we'll just cut Mopar completely. That's what they think of their workers. Yep.
Cutting Mopar completely is just mind-numbing to me. I mean, I'm 52 years old. Mopar has been a fabric of America for as long as I can remember. I knew who Mopar was when I was 15, 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. So that brings me to ask you about job security. I think one of the concessions that came to fruition with the Ford contract thus far is that they can strike at plants that they're threatening to close. I think this is a really big sticking point, and I'll tell you why. If you guys get the pay increases, you get the 90-day where you're no longer temp for 5 years on end. All of those things are brought to the table. It doesn't really matter if they close the facilities and continue to outsource the jobs elsewhere. And when I say elsewhere, I'm not even saying in the United States. I'm saying they're going to outsource them. They've got a place in South Africa now that they're talking about. They've got a place, obviously, in Italy. God knows where else. I'm sure Vietnam, China, wherever else they're looking at. So that needs to be a focus, and I understand why. Job security. So do you think the concession on being able to strike at plants that they're looking to close is a good concession to win? And what other ways can they go about preserving job security?
Absolutely, it's a good thing, because if we can't strike on plant closures, they just do whatever they want. Like we've been talking for 10 minutes. We got DCID number, CID number, and that's what we are. We're not people to them. You know what I mean? We're a number. And you see that in all the conversations. They move them from Belvedere. They move us. They say they're going to move us over here. If you don't want to go, don't go. And if we can't walk out on strike, if they're just going to move all our plants, what's going to be left in the end, right? Because they're going to do whatever they want. They already threatened to take our truck and move it to Mexico on us about 6 months ago. So, I mean, where does it end if we don't have the right to stand up and strike and say we're going to keep our product in our cities and our towns, and we're going to continue this? Stellantis, Chrysler, I mean, we've been flipped over so many times, right?
Yeah, no, and the other thing that doesn't make sense to me is some of these locations don't necessarily have cheaper labor costs, so it makes me wonder what the impetus for that. Are they getting government subsidies in Italy to put that plant there? I'm guessing yes, which then also leads me to think to myself, well, what is our government doing? If we give $4 to $30 billion loan, why are we not attaching any sort of strings to that? If we decide that we're going to pass some free trade bill, maybe it should be a fair trade bill. Maybe the politicians should be saying, wait a second, let's think about our workers here in Michigan. We need to attach some guarantees for these folks before we say yes to this trade deal. We need to attach some guarantees to Ford or whoever before we give them any money. That has not been happening at all. And it's both parties. I mean, you can't really point that. Well, one is probably worse than the other. We know what right.
Right.
But having said that, one enables the other in a way when it comes to this corporate greed conversation. Right. They give lip service. They do some stuff, but not enough to really make it stop what's happening. Like if you look at the through line of outsourcing of jobs, it's changed very little, right? Obama had, I think, you can look at people. When you get your job outsourced, you can go online, and for folks that don't know this, you can apply, you can put a petition before the government about losing your job to get help, right? So the way to gauge how many jobs are being outsourced is by looking at that data. I don't think it's concrete and 100%, but it does give you an idea of what's going on in the country, right? Plant closures. That number never changes, I'll be honest with you, no matter who's in office, whether it's Obama, whether it's Trump, who absolutely ran on a campaign of I'm going to stop outsourcing of jobs. That's what I'm about. They didn't slow under him at all, not even a little bit. So
if they want to put the cars over there, put a tariff on them, you don't bring them back and sell them to the United States. You don't want the work to be done in this country. Sell them over there where you're building them. That's how we feel.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. America, what's going on here? How did we get to this place? Because we're probably about the same age, and things were very much different back then. The problems were starting to come up. I'm not saying they weren't perfectly perfect, but it's escalated to the point where I just am shaking my head where does this lead? When does this stop? 1,300% pay increases for the CEOs over the last 3 decades? 1,300%? Really? That's what we're doing?
Yep, we got 6. We got 6% over the last 4 years, 6%. Inflation went up 18%.
Right.
So we're 12% behind.
I'm going to say you're even more than 12%, but yeah, 100%. And so then they turn around and say, Mari Barra was saying well, it's just untenable. I'm like, is it untenable, or is what you've given yourself, over a 20% increase in pay? That's tenable, but this isn't tenable? Exactly. Is anybody actually buying these narratives anymore?
I can't believe they are. I really hope they're not. But if they are, I don't get it.
I don't get it.
It's ridiculous. The CEOs, the money they make in these companies, and they have they call us greedy, right? It's unacceptable. We're not greedy. We just want our fair share. That's all we're asking for. We go in that plant every day and we bust our ass, right? These guys come out with sore backs. They got to work 10 hours a day because they're only making $15.50 an hour. And if they don't work 10 hours a day, they can't take care of their children. And they want to say we're greedy. We're not greedy. We're building their cars. They're making billions of dollars, and all we want is our fair share.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time, man. All right, so again, we're in Marysville. Where am I? I'm like, where am I going here? We're in Marysville, which is in Michigan. We are at the Mopar facility here as parts distribution. These facilities are important to the operation, even though they're calling them non-core apparently, but they are giant profit margins, 30 to 40% profit margins. So that's not a small profit margin. I love that they're playing Rage Against the Machine in the background here, one of my favorite bands. Hey Zach. Shout out to Zach De La Rocha. Let's see. There is somebody here who is running for office. I do want to talk to them. Obviously, they're a union member, and they're running for office. They want to change things. Do we know where she went?
She's down there in the track.
Or we can talk, yeah. Bring them over here.
Bree, the safety rep.
Oh, yeah, Bree, come talk to us. Safety is important.
My daughter, I don't know if you want to talk to.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I will be here as long as y'all want to talk. I will be here for 5 hours if it takes 5 hours. Okay. I start to wander around. Hey, Bree, how are you? So you're the safety rep.
Yes.
What is your main sort of job duties here at Mopar?
I keep the people safe. I make sure that we're following the OSHA regulations. I provide them with all their safety gear. Any questions or concerns they have, they come to me, and I do evaluations on it, and I make sure that it's just a safe place to work.
Right.
You know?
All right, let's talk about safety first. Safety first. We haven't had a chance to interview any of you folks yet. OSHA is a big thing, obviously. Where is Stellantis as far as OSHA is concerned? Are they pretty good about keeping regulations in the shops? Are there violations sometimes? What's that like?
I would say they follow it for, I mean, they have to. They have no choice. You know what I mean? If somebody sees something going wrong, they'd come to me and I'd examine it, or I'd check out the issue. And if there's an issue, then I'd talk to the manager or the plant manager, whoever, and we fix it. Because they have to. OSHA could come in here and shut this place down if they weren't. So if they wanted to make their money, they have to.
Right. So this is where government teeth comes in. So there should be regulations for things. For folks that think there shouldn't be any regulations, I kind of go, really? You sure about that? If there weren't any OSHA regulations and there weren't any penalties or fines attached to that, they would probably do whatever, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure back years ago that's how it was. I mean, excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. The union, we fought for this. I know. The union, we fought for this. I mean, if it wasn't for the union years ago, then we wouldn't have the protection that we have. They would be getting away with all that. So
100%. So you are, I'm guessing, full-time and not temporary.
Yes, full-time. I am not tier 1. I'm the tier 2 full-time, but without the pension.
Pensions. Yeah. Pensions are a huge sticking point. It's not just with the auto industry. Pensions are just evaporated across the board. I just don't even know where they exist at this point for new workers anywhere, which is unfortunate. Social Security isn't going to be enough for people to live off of. That's obvious right now. Yeah. So bringing back pensions would be a big deal. Do you think it's possible?
I hope so. I mean, it should be. It absolutely should be, because I'd be 51 when I retire. So that's how long I'd have to go until I can even touch my 401 and all that, you know what I mean? So it'd be nice to have that pension in between.
I'd be retired already.
Pardon me?
I'd be retired already. I'm 52.
Right.
All right, I gotta go. Bye. I'm out. No. Just kidding. So what are some of the things that you're seeing the media say that just makes you crazy?
Oh, man.
So many?
The pay. Yeah, everything. I mean, they're saying that we don't deserve the pay, and they're saying that our jobs are so easy. I mean, these people on our line, they physically pick up these parts, they move to the conveyor, they set them down over and over and over. Yeah, and it's heavy, and it's like a robot, but we're the robots, No one's doing it for us. I mean, there's so many people that have surgeries, injuries, this, that. It's horrible. It is. And we work our butts off. We're here 7 days a week, sometimes 12 hours a day. Like, we deserve what we deserve. We make these vehicles.
No, there would be no vehicles without you folks. That is absolutely the case. And it's not greedy to ask for your fair share of production. I think that's just kind of a normal expectation. What are some of the injuries that you do see? I've heard some carpal tunnel is common. What are
the shoulder blades, the rotator cuffs? Feet, absolutely. Parts on feet, everything, dropping parts, whatever. The hooks on the line, literally everything. I mean, everything. We haven't had any, amputations or anything like that here, luckily, nothing. But I mean, it's from the continuous work, just the continuous. You use the same parts all the time. It's horrible.
So in your mind, what is the most important thing that you would like to see in concessions? Is it the COLA, end of tiers?
I'd say the temps. They deserve a future, absolutely. And then the end of tiers. I mean, honestly, everything. It's all important. Everything's important. That's why we're fighting for it all, and we're not going to stop fighting until we get it all.
You know, and I think that's a valid point you're making. I doubt you folks would have gone on strike if it was just one or two things, but it's the fact that it's like a whole mess of things that are so super important that you're just like, we can't do this anymore. This is where we're at.
The retirees gave this stuff up so long ago, long time ago, okay? And since then, we have made so much money in this company, it's our time to get it back.
Wait, hang on. Can we have a moment to recognize this song?
You're right. Great song.
Who did this playlist?
I did. I did, actually. Yep. But yeah,
It's Take This Job and Shove It play.
that's right. But yeah, they deserve it. The retirees deserve it. They haven't had a raise or anything in over 10 years, and they're the ones that did all this. You know, they gave up so much so I could have a job here. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here right now. So now it's their turn to get their fair share. These people's turn to get their fair share.
No, I get it. I mean, 2008, 2009, they were bankrupt, facing bankruptcy, not quite bankrupt. Well, I mean, some of them might have been right on the cuff there. But point being is they came to you folks and said, if you don't work with us, this is it. And you did work with them. You didn't.
Very long.
But you know they didn't fulfill their obligation to you because they said when we're profitable again, we care about you. We're gonna make you whole. You've never been made whole.
Right. How long has it been? We're still waiting, and we're done waiting.
Not only you're done waiting, they're fighting you on it. Right. Even though they said we're going to do this, made those obligations, they're still going to.
How does that even sound okay? You know.
How does that sound like greed on your side?
Right. No, not at all. Not at all. It's not right. It's just not. I mean,
I don't know. I think CNBC lives in its own little world, and if they ever talk to a worker, it would be a shock to me. I don't think they've ever left their studios. I'm going with that because there's no other explanation for this. When I first came here, I didn't know that the temp worker situation was as bad as it is. I knew that there were temp workers, but we've talked to folks that have been, kid you not, 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years.
And then a lot of them, they become a full-time, and then they get a pay cut. It's horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, we've talked to a couple of those. We talked to a couple of those. One guy, $10 an hour he lost because the new contract was capped at 25 and he'd been moved. Another guy, I'm not sure why, but he lost $2. But you're right, it's more common than you would imagine. And I don't think any American that hears these stories is like thinking to themselves, oh yeah, that person's definitely greedy.
Right. Right. I mean, even me, I moved out here. I'm a single mother. I moved out here, changed everything. My kid goes to school up here. I work up here. The daycare's up here. And now they're telling me they're going to close that down and I got to relocate my kid. You know, she's in sports, this, that. She's got friends out here. It's not right. And then the Belvedere people, they're just forced here. Now what? They want to force them back? Does that even make any sense?
Let's talk about that for a second because I didn't realize that. So if they close this facility here in Marysville, they're going to reopen Belvedere, which they closed, and some of the people that were Belvedere were transferred over here and to Centerline. We talked to some people from Belvedere on Centerline, maybe even Flint, I don't know. But what are they doing? What is management doing? Hello, do they know what they're doing?
It does not make any sense. Let's move your life and then move it back. And it's just not right. I mean, these kids here, they make friends. It's horrible. It's just not right. It's not.
It's not right, and it doesn't make financial sense for the company either, in my opinion. All of that movement costs them money as well. So I don't know. I have like this cartoon thing in my head of them running around in cartoons and anvils are dropping, and I don't know. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know about you, but that's what I'm seeing. What about profit sharing? I know the temps don't get profit sharing. It's better to have it than not, I think. A lot of workers don't have that. It would make more sense to me to give all workers that because it sort of incentivizes.
Absolutely. I mean, they pay union dues. They're part of this union. They should get all the same things that we get, all the same rights that we get, everything.
And even though you wouldn't have it necessarily every quarter, there might be quarters where there isn't profit. Recently, though, it would have been a substantial.
So what are you waiting for? Give us our stuff, man.
Well, the reality is they're the greedy ones. I'm saying it.
Right. It's ridiculous. It's like,
you're asking for your fair share. They're the ones that are hogging it all up there. I want to ask you about. We're seeing a lot of folks driving by and honking. Obviously, they're in solidarity. I have not seen any negative folks on the picket line. I know there's been a couple of incidents. I'm not going to get into that right now, but
nothing major. I mean, once in a while you get somebody, but then the funny thing is they're driving our vehicles. That's the best, But all in all, we got most support. We do. It's awesome.
You 100% do. I think people feel, they feel the income inequality too. Speaking of driving our cars, I was laughing. We were up in Flint yesterday, And we went to the Union Hall, and they had a sign outside of the Union Hall that basically said, if you're driving a foreign car,
Can't park here.
well, you can park there, but you have to park in the furthest possible available spot, and if you don't, we're towing you.
That's very common. Other plants, like some of the huge plants, I mean, ours is smaller, so, but some of the huge plants, they have to go in a whole separate parking lot. Yeah, it's insane, but it's cool. It's awesome. I mean,
Wait, they have a whole separate parking lot?
yeah, there's many parking lots in some of the big plants, represent.
No, I had a good laugh. I'm like, well, I get it. I totally get it. But, here's the thing. You have Honda, Toyota. These companies are now coming over here building facilities for manufacturing and assembly. UAW needs to go unionize their asses, don't they?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
just a suggestion.
Yeah.
So what are the things that do you think Americans should know about what's going on here? We're day 10 right now of the strike. I think we've got more time coming where you're going to be out here on the picket line. I don't see any morale down. I see people that are very committed to the cause.
Our leadership, I mean, a lot of these leaders, they have 20-something plus years. If our plant closes, they could probably retire. They'll probably get a buyout, but they're still out here fighting. I mean, in the past 2 days, I've been here 27 hours. And it's just, because we care. These are our people. We're a team. We stick together. It is.
No, that's a good point, too. I feel like management was sort of trying to divide you guys up. Mark Roos, who is the president at GM, I've referenced this 100 times already in our live streams, but I think it's a prime example of what trying to divide up labor looks like. He was basically saying in this op-ed that 85% of the workers are taken care of and they're doing well. Ergo, why do you give a rat's ass about the 15? If you talk about that, you're spreading. He actually said you're spreading misinformation.
Okay, so 85. Why not 100?
Well, but isn't that the point?
I mean, everybody matters. That's why we're all here. Tier 1s, Tier 2s, Tier 3s, 4s, 5s, 100%. No, 85 is not okay. Which I don't even believe that, but it's not okay.
Who knows if that's number accurate? I didn't fact check it. That's the number he chose to use, so it could be wrong. But I was most likely it's wrong. I'm gonna go with that. But at the same time, he's smart enough to understand what a union means. A union doesn't mean we take care of 85% and throw 15 under the bus. It's all in or nothing. He knows this. So what is the intention of that?
I have no clue. You'd have to ask him.
I would have to ask him. Yeah, Mark, if you want to talk.
Come on.
I'm happy to talk to you. Okay, so politics a little bit, not necessarily political party, but politics in general. We're going into an election cycle, and now everybody wants to come out here and do their photo op on the picket line kind of a thing. I think Sean has the right attitude, I think, in my opinion, on this. He is like, unless you guys are going to actually show us the goods, you're not getting our endorsement. Absolutely. Don't ask for it.
Don't just act like it because the stuff's happening, because the media's here, this, that. Be here because you want to be here, because you care. If you don't come here. That's the way I look at it, no matter who you are. Don't do it for the fame. Do it for the people, like Sean does. Right. Do it for the people.
Right. And I also think it has to go beyond you just even being here. What are you doing for us legislatively? Are you going to actually, affect change in a positive way, or?
We just want to get Andrea, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get Andrea on.
Oh, okay.
She has to go.
Oh, do you have to go? Okay. Yeah. All right, so I will let you go then. Okay. Thank you for talking with us.
You so much.
Appreciate
Sorry
it.
For the stutter.
Oh, no, there's no stutter there. You did great.
Thank you.
Can you just see that microphone?
Okay.
Hey, come over, Andrea. All right, we should be okay for one more interview, and then I got to change out the battery.
Okay, folks, we might have to change out the battery, so. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So what is your full story? You are full-time temp. How long have you been at Mopar?
No, actually, I'm just here to support the cause. I'm a working class citizen. I was in the military. My husband is a union member.
You're running for office. Hang on. Okay, so you're out here supporting the workers. You're running as state rep?
State rep for District 64. Okay. So this will be this area up through Port Huron. And I think it's really important that people in my position are here and supporting. This is my hometown area, and I grew up, and these were the jobs that we wanted to have. Right. We knew that if we could get into these kinds of jobs, that we would have job security, we would have insurance, we could take care of our families. And now I'm seeing this happening, and there's tears that are ridiculous. I'm learning all about all of this stuff with temporary workers that are working for years. How is that temporary?
Yeah, it's insane as well.
And then they get hired in and then they go back down on the pay scale. This is unacceptable. So for me, this is very important to be here and show my support, because it's every generation that is coming up, and we want jobs. We want to work, but we need the security, and we need to be treated like human beings.
Right. Yeah, the idea that people don't want to work or want to be lazy is ridiculous. I never even bring that talking point up because I think it's so ridiculous. Let me ask you this, since you're running for office, we see a lot of politicians that will show up at picket lines. They'll get elected, and then they do absolutely nothing for the workers.
Yes.
And, you know, one party's worse than the other, clearly. That would be the GOP, I'm just going to say it. But we also have examples of the Democratic Party sort of enabling some of that stuff because they don't follow through. I think the PRO Act, I don't know if you followed the PRO Act as it was going through Congress last. So this was a bill that would have eliminated problems with the right to work laws in states and a few other things. It was very pro-labor law that would have been very, very, very beneficial for labor in the country.
Yes.
It passed through the House of Representatives, stalled in the Senate, even though Democrats had a majority.
Correct.
But of course the line they always use is, well, we're not filibuster proof. Well, you're never going to be filibuster proof, let's be honest.
Right.
So your options are this. You eliminate the filibuster, and you keep telling me you don't want to do that.
Correct.
For reasons I don't understand, but okay.
Yeah. You're like, well, we have to do something.
So do something. At least try to push it through. What are your feelings on all that?
So for me, being a veteran, we get a lot of, we support you, you. We have, representatives that come out and they, say that they care. And then as soon as they're elected, they're gone. And so I understand that, and that's part of my frustration and why I'm running, is because I'm sick of people saying, hey, we support this for the day and not following through with any of it. So I'm hoping that I can somehow make a difference in that, because that's the most infuriating part about being here, is learning what they deal with and the forcing them to work long hours, not getting the overpay, overtime that they just
How do you work 60 hours a week
and not get. I don't understand these loopholes.
They finagle the schedules. Like, I talked to a guy yesterday who explained this to me. Like, it was like alphabet soup, 7, 12, 94, 65. I don't know if it was
these words. It's just the language of the contracts, and that's how they get around it. So to have a good, well-written contract that ties up those loopholes, that's what we need. So
let me ask you how you decided to run for office. You're clearly not a dyed-in-the-wool, I'm a politician kind of person.
No, I'm not.
So what motivated you to run for office?
Like I said, being a veteran, I felt like I kind of got left behind. And fighting with the VA and all of these people that will come up and say thank you, but they don't show up to ceremonies. They don't show up in support of what's going on and what the real issues are. So for me, that's why I want to change that. And if I can inspire at least one other person to get up and to come out to something like this, or just show support or be passionate about something, then hopefully there will be that momentum for more people to continue to stand up and lead and not be in that traditional, oh, well, I'm going to go to school to be a politician, and then that's what they do for their entire life, and they just make backdoor deals and all of that, so that's where I'm.
Backdoor deals are very common and very problematic. It's mainly, I think, why you have, in some areas, you have what I would call a uniparty. These areas of economics where the neoliberals and the neoconservatives basically have the same ideas, right? Privatization, outsourcing of jobs. I had spoken with Ron earlier about NAFTA. I'm old enough to see that thing happen, and it was very, very bad for labor. But that is a prime example, right? NAFTA was originally George Bush Sr.'s bill. He couldn't get it through Congress. Bill Clinton comes into office. He's the Democrat. He pushed it right on through, no problem. And it's been very, very bad for labor at that time. At that time, the youngins won't know this, but at that time you had labor out in the streets in numbers I have not seen except for the Iraq War, to be frank. Thousands and thousands of people on the streets protesting NAFTA, and their voices were not heard. We've seen union membership has been decreasing. It's now turning around, though. There's the great awakening in labor in the country that we're seeing, whether it's Starbucks, whatever.
Yep, I think a lot of that has to do with they've done such a great job of messaging and villainizing what unions do. And yes, there are always going to be these people that are going to not be the best for a union or the government.
But you know, that's true of every industry and every job and everything.
Everything. You're always going to have the bad apples. But the thing is that there are so many of us that's not who we are. We are here to work. We're here to live and prosper and raise our families and support our country. And it's kind of getting harder and harder to do that when we don't have the support of the people that are supposed to be supporting us as far as the industries that they want us to work for. And the skills that we need, and they tell us to go to college, they tell us to do these things, and then they say, oh, no, wait, we need skilled laborers again. And so it's this pulling of every direction.
That's a good point. Let's talk about that for a second. I'm a believer that a good solution for that is that we refinance our public education system, and that's not just higher education, i.e., universities that are giving out bachelor's degrees and master's, whatever. That includes skilled trades.
Yes.
Like, these are two different forms of education, but they are both equally vital to the well-being of this country and to our economics.
Absolutely. So my current job right now, I'm a hairstylist and I'm an independent contractor. So I love your blonde, by the way.
Wait, that's just the gray hair coming in.
Oh, see, and I didn't even notice. You're doing well hiding it. But so what it is that, I understand that, like, I love that I have a trade. I love that I have a skill that not everybody has. And I love that I can talk about that with other, like with electricians, with different you have your plumbers, you have all of these different people. And then with the education system focusing so much on what test scores are and that you have to put everybody into this mold of how this is what we consider education, and that's not working for us. And it's obvious. So
I mean, we're seeing this here on the picket line. A lot of the skilled trades folks here that work in the auto industry, they do things I could never do. I have a master's. I have a master's degree in philosophy. It would not help me this at all. I would be a hot, absolute fucking mess trying to do any of these jobs, and I recognize that.
So, for about 3 months when I was 19, before I joined the military, I worked in a factory, and it was not for me. I just couldn't do it, and
I would hurt myself badly.
Yeah. But that was the thing, is that I have an appreciation for all different walks of life and their jobs, and we can't all be the same. We have to be different. We have to have different skills, and this is an important part of our economy. I mean, that's the big part of America is our auto industry, and it's ridiculous that how many years ago that we bailed them out, and now they've got all of these profits, and we can't even get a reasonable raise. And they're saying that these are critical times, so they have to work all of these hours. It's outrageous, and enough is enough.
I agree. I mean, I started hearing some of these lines that they say, and I start laughing because it's just ridiculous. It's like, really? That's what you're going with?
Yep.
You're going to have to do better than that. Any parting words that you would like the American public to know, either about your campaign or the UAW, whatever?
I mean, I think I've said a lot of it. It's just, for me, it's really important that we stay together, no matter what we believe, our different walks of life. It's important for us to come together in these situations because these are Americans. They're working hard. They have families. We're all doing the same thing. We all have the same goal. And if we can't band together to get what we need and what we deserve, then what's the point of this country? So.
All right, 100%. Thank you so much for talking to us. Good luck in your race there. When is the election? Is it this November? Next year, okay. Yep. All right, good luck with that. Thank you for talking with that. Yeah. So I think we need to change the battery here. So absolutely. So we're going to be without the mic for a hot minute here as we change the battery, but we'll be back. Stay with us.
I didn't catch your name.
Tina. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Tina.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, we're almost at the bottom here.
1, 2.
I think.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. All right, you told them? You gotta change out the mic?
Yeah.
All right, guys, give me like less than a minute. All right, you can time me if you want. Hold on one second.
Your
Time me.
All right, time. No? Okay.
Okay, take that. Tina. Just
Yeah,
gotta
hang
change
on.
out one more.
I should have brought my phone charger with me. My phone's dying. It's like at 3 or 4%.
All right, I think we're good. Mic check, 1, 2. Hope we're good. Everybody can hear us. Do you have anybody else?
It's up and working. We do have some new members. I want to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Dennis and John, thank you for joining. We appreciate that. I'm not sure if you're our website or YouTube. We love you both equally, no matter which it is. It's your membership that keeps us going. You know, we've been out here for day 10 now. Jordan's going to be back into town when I leave. All right, come over and talk to us, but we appreciate you joining. We're going to be out here as long as folks will want to talk to us. Come talk to me. What is your name?
Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. Background stuff. How long have you been at Mopar, temp, full-time vet?
I've been 27 years. I started at I started at Mound Road Engine in 1996 at $12.78 an hour, $12.83 or something like that.
Wait, hang on. I'm going to stop you right there. $12.83 an hour in 1996, and right now it's only $3 more all these years.
Disgusting, isn't it? It's totally disgusting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, keep going, sorry.
So I started then, and I've been to Shap, Warren Truck, and then here.
A lot of places.
Yep. From
So-
being laid off. Yep.
So talk to me about that. You were laid off and they rehired you back, or you just did a new
You
contract?
just go to a different plant. Yeah, wherever they have an opening.
Okay, yeah. So we talked to a guy that had been at the Belvedere facility who got moved to Centerline and had a massive pay cut from that because apparently at Centerline you're capped at $25 an hour no matter who you are, what you were making before. How often does that happen?
I'm not really sure because I didn't get cut. I didn't get cut like that. I'm still at the 31.
How do they determine these things? They seem to be all over the map. Like, I feel like everybody I talk to, I'm like, well, that's not a guarantee across the board, is it? There could be another story there or another loophole or another something like.
Yeah, I don't know how it all works. I think the union should have never allowed it. They should have never allowed it. And I know it was corrupt and they all got paid off for it, but it's ridiculous.
All right, you know what? Hang on. We're going to talk about that because I have not been able to find anybody that knows that stuff yet, so you're going to be my person. There was this giant scandal that happened for folks that don't know, and I think people need to understand the history of this. There are people that are in federal prison from this. Yes. These are felony crimes, Taft-Hartley labor violations, but I'm going to boil it down just to a quick thing where you had some union bosses that were getting payouts from the automakers to do these really shitty labor deals, bribes, more or less bribes, and this is how we sort of end up where we are now. The NLRB, the government came in, and they busted some chops, which is good, but in the meantime, you're still stuck with these corrupt contracts. So to walk us through that, when that was happening, what were you thinking?
That we were getting shitty contracts. You know, we're being told that, if you don't take this contract, you're not going to have a job. So of course we're gonna, we're gonna get rid of pensions. Okay, we're gonna get rid of your pensions. You're gonna take a pay cut. You're not gonna get a raise in forever. I stayed at 26 or 28 for 10 years. I didn't, and then that's every other year you get 3%. It's 90 cents. So, yeah, but more of them needed to go to jail actually.
More, you're right. You know, more of them do need to go to. How many of them actually did go to jail? Only three or four, right?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I don't want to give misinformation about that, but you know, the fact that that even happened is really kind of shocking and scary. How do these guys even sleep at night? They literally sold out their membership, and you know what? The bribes weren't even that substantial.
Well, an ink pen. Well, I mean, granted, a $100,000 ink pen or however much it costs, but whatever. Yeah. And I like Sean and Rich Boyer. They're great. They're great.
Yeah, Sean seems to like he's the real deal to me. We interviewed him a couple days ago. Did a great interview with Jordan. He's definitely cares about what's happening here. He's definitely committed to strongholding these guys into better contracts. And let me say this. I think management knows that. They know they're on the wrong side of history here. They don't care. They know that they took these things away. They know that they were cooperating with bad union bosses previously. They know that when you guys were, 2008, 2009, that negotiation period, they know you guys came to the table because they were facing bankruptcy. You did your part. They promised you that those things were coming back. They didn't. They haven't brought them back, and they've been profitable for years, even in spite of all that. So as a vet, do you have pension still, or did you?
I have a pension, yes. Okay. Yep. And that's another thing. The retirees, I'm sorry, but the retirees deserve way more. We gave up money for retiree health care, and then the VEBA took it over. We didn't get that money back. Where'd it go? Stock buybacks?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Sean made that point in the interview with Jordan that stock buybacks have increased 1,500% over the last 4 years. That's just juicing up the short-term value of the stock. It does nothing for the well-being of the company at all.
I'd like to know how much money that they're making, the CEOs are making on the dividends are getting paid from them, all that stock they're making, or they have.
So, I mean, and that's probably partially one of their motivating factors, right? So all of these stocks they're gold standard stocks. They pay dividends for the shareholders each quarter. And oftentimes the CEOs, a lot of their pay does come in with stock options. So it's not necessarily income, which is, let me also throw this in there, it's also taxed at a lower rate than income is. So there's that. So all these benefits, right? Mm-hmm. Carried interest would be another one. They have access to things that your average worker will never have access to. It really is elitist privilege in a way that is unique. Let's put it that way. I'm being charitable.
American.
Uniquely American. So pensions, do you think there's ever a possibility that they're ever going to come back? I think they're fundamentally needed in the country,
they are.
But I also feel like that ship sailed in a way.
I kind of do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I hate to see it, but yeah.
No, you hate to see it because America, part of it too is that the multinational conglomerates, they know they can get away with this stuff in America even if they can't do it back home. Like, you don't see the Italians or the Swedes or the whoever, they've got their pensions.
Well, France, that's what they were riding over. It wasn't raising the age, it was they were losing money. Yeah.
Let's talk about France for a second because, you're making a really good point here. The French aren't going to put up with it.
They burned BlackRock.
But where are they right now? They burnt BlackRock. I saw that video. That was wild. But where are they now with Stellantis? So folks that don't know, Stellantis was formed from, so it was Chrysler. Am I moving around too much? I like to move around. So you had Chrysler and Fiat. They merged together to make this Italian group. Then they merged with a French company, PSA, Peugeot, I think, and I can't remember what the other brands are. They're now headquartered in Amsterdam, of all places, but also that grew from a merger with a French company. The French, generally, you're right, they don't accept it. They're like, general strike, yes, we're out there, we are rioting, we are burning shit down, that's it. And here we have just the workers out here. Where is the energy that is in France? Why isn't it here? Because we're way worse off than they are.
I know. I don't know. Well, because they're protected too. I mean, their jobs aren't tied to health care, which I don't understand why all these unions don't get together and health care, universal health care, just all that. I mean, they're not. I don't think that, and it's cheaper to live over there too. I know people don't believe it, but it is. I stayed in. I tell the story all the time. I stayed in Paris for 7 nights, and I paid $1,000 for my room, and it had a little kitchenette and everything for 7 nights. $1,000. Went up to Tawas, up in Michigan, for 3 nights, and it cost me $1,100. It's cheaper. Food's better too. It doesn't.
And you probably had better bedding in France.
Had better food.
No, it's kind of crazy that way. In fact, let's talk about this idea of a general strike. It's floating around on the internets out there. I've seen people talk about it on Twitter, a couple Instagram posts, whatnot. Do you think we could ever get everybody in this country on page to do something like that, or no?
No. Who can afford it? People can't afford to lose pay for, I mean, even a day. They can't afford it. People make $10 an hour. They can't afford it. I mean, you're working at Chrysler, which was, when I was growing up, that was the job to have. You were going to be upper middle class, not upper, but, you know, you're going to be buying a house, and you can buy a new car, and you can send your kids to college. Now, $15.78 an hour, that's disgusting.
Yeah, it's too low. It's crazy.
And we got people here that have 3 years, they're temps, part-time, supplemental, whatever, $17 an hour, and 3 years.
It's crazy. No, it's crazy. You can't pay rent on that.
No.
That's just a fact of the matter. I just lost my train of thought on what I was going to ask you. General strike. Wait, what were we talking about before the general strike? But something right before that. It had to do with France. Hang on. Well, that ship sailed. I've been out here for 10 days with y'all. Let me ask you this. There's lots of misinformation and truly misinformation that goes around, you know, like that you're greedy, that you don't have any valid reasons for asking for what you're asking for. I think the temp workers is a big thing that doesn't get enough discussion. I don't know that people realize that's happening. We've already talked about that. But what other things do you see floating around out there in the media world that are entirely wrong or just make you crazy because they're not entirely accurate?
The amount of money with the benefits and everything, $300,000 to Ford CEO, you liar. We don't.
Yeah, wait, hang on. Where did he get that number from? It was crazy.
Out of his ass. I don't know. I make $31 an hour, and it's like my health insurance and my pension. Most of these people don't have a pension. So, no, I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know. Yeah. It's a straight up lie.
I remember. It just came to me when you said that. It's a straight up lie. I'm being charitable by saying it's bizarre. Medicare for all, that is what I wanted to talk to you about, because you mentioned universal health care as a possible solution for some of these problems. I agree with you. I think it's outrageous that in the United States of America that people just don't have universal health care, that we're not as a right. You know, we are the only industrialized nation that does not have Medicare for all or some version of universal health care. Attaching it to your job's really problematic, because if you do have to leave, you lose your health care. You can't afford COBRA is absolutely outrageously expensive. You forget it. You're not going to be able to pay it on unemployment insurance. But I have asked this question of union bosses. I have not asked it of Sean Fain, so I don't know what his particular opinion is on this. But I've talked to UTLA, like other unions, and the consensus that I basically hear is that unions for a long time felt that their medical plans were a good bonus and a good incentive that could be useful for bringing people into the union fold, for being able to unionize non-union shops. And I could see that, because the union plans for a long time were a lot better than what you would get from a straight-up private insurer. Now, keep in mind, a private insurer manages the plan probably, but the union itself would decide what those benefits are, what they look like. But that's changed, because the entire, God, where do I begin with this? The entire health insurance industry is just a hot mess, right? Mm-hmm. It's outrageous. No matter where you go, you end up getting smaller and smaller amounts of coverage for more money. The premiums are outrageous. Adding to that is the co-pays, the deductibles. There's like now deductibles for near everything, like separate ones. So, I mean, even if you have really good, quote unquote, really good insurance, you're still paying out the nose just to go see a doctor, right? Hey there.
UAW on strike, baby.
So I'm being long-winded about this, I guess. I do think there's a change, though, now, because it is getting so bad. I think a lot of union leaders are kind of questioning whether they can continue to use this as a selling point, as much as maybe we should put that over into universal land, focus on just working on increasing wages for our people, getting pensions back, things like this. What are all your thoughts on that?
I think they should do it. Why can't these companies pay taxes? Why can't, I mean, it's every other place does. And my big pet peeve with the whole thing is we're also the only country that doesn't have paid maternity leave. We get 6 weeks. I'm sorry, you're baking a baby for 9 months. 6 weeks? I wish men had to have babies.
You know, let me say this. My family's from Sweden. In Sweden, you have 1 year leave for both parents, not just the mom. So both the mom and the dad get a year paid off leave. Yeah, we are the only country that doesn't value rearing. Yeah,
mothers. Yeah, yep. We don't.
Frustrating. What other things that have we not discussed yet that you think are important?
I don't know. I just wish people would quit repeating stuff they hear in the media. Look the stuff up. I mean, willful ignorance is what I call it. It's just like you're repeating think for yourselves. Quit repeating what somebody else tells you to think. You know, you see a headline and, you know, you run with it. Read the damn article and look. Yeah. Quit being ignorant.
Well, that's kind of what it is.
Yes.
I don't blame him. And that's true of just most things in this country at this point. But, you know, as a member of the media, I have to say we've kind of done this to ourselves in many ways. Well, not people like me or Jordan, whoever, but the media companies themselves. They've you know, been, you know, the conglomerates. There's like 6 conglomerates. So even though we're a separate industry, we face the same sort of problems that you are. So you've got smaller and smaller companies because they gobble the smaller ones up and they...
BlackRock, Vanguard.
Yeah. I don't need to tell you, right? Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good.
Thank you for talking with us. Appreciate it. Okay, so what time is it now?
We're going to get one more. Why don't you go grab her in the tracksuit?
Right on. Hold that.
All right, guys. If you appreciate our reporting for the last 10 days and you want us to continue our coverage, we're going to need more people to sign up. $5 to $10 a month. You don't see CNN airing these stories on or covering the strike like we have. They'll bring on experts and analysts and all these, you know, other people who want to talk about it, but we're here with the workers for 10 days. We want to be out here longer, but we can't do it without you. So please sign up. And if you can't sign up, please donate. StatusCoup.com/join. StatusCoup.com/donate. We're going to get one more person on here to talk to us and tell us a story. Tina, you ready?
Oh, yes. She's a little bit camera shy, so I'm just saying, talk to me. Don't look at the camera. That's not there. You're just going to tell me your story. First of all, tell me what your name is, how long you've been here at Mopar.
I'm Jamie. I've been with the company for 11 years, since July of 2012.
Okay.
I started in Belvedere, Illinois. I relocated here December 2021. So it's been almost 2 years now.
Okay, so Belvedere was the facility that they shut down, that they're actually wildly talking about bringing back again after they relocated everybody. Were you one of the folks that got a pay cut when you moved here?
No, I did not. Just a very small amount, some cents. So, yeah, nothing.
So what else? What is the big part of your story?
That it'll be nice to go back home because my house is still there. So.
You still have your house in Belvedere, Illinois?
Yes.
Are you renting out a second place here? How are you making that work?
I am, yeah. So it'll be nice if I can go back home. I did choose home as my home plant to return if ever, possible. So it'll be nice if I could go back there.
I feel you there. What other things are you facing hardship-wise? Obviously, having your house in another state makes it impossible to go home unless they do that. What other things? Like, are you working 12-hour shift, 9-hour shifts? Like,
pretty much my 8 hours, 40 hours.
Okay, so
on Saturdays, Sundays, if I choose to. Yeah.
Okay, so not as bad as some others, but the house thing is pretty rough, man. Do you have family back there in Belvedere?
My family is in Chicago. Okay. So yeah, I have a brother back in Belvedere.
How far? How far is for people to know, how far is Belvedere from Chicago?
About an hour and a half.
Not like right next door, but close enough where you would be able to see them more often than being here on the west. We're on the west side. Where are we right now? We're in Marysville. I'm like, wait, where are we right now? We were up in Flint yesterday. Let me ask you one other question. You hear a lot of information floating around out there, not just with media, but just around people talking. What is the one thing that you hear being said that is just completely wrong, not exactly accurate, infuriating, that anything that you would want to correct for folks to know?
I really can't comment on that because I haven't really been following it. No, I'm just...
Well, that's a good way to preserve your mental health.
Just here to take it one day at a time and see and hope for the best. Yeah, pretty much.
Today's 10 days on the strike line. It seems to me that everybody still is in good spirits. You're still committed to your cause.
Yeah, as of Friday, it would be day 3 for me as of Friday.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me clarify for folks who don't know. This is one of the 38 new plants that were added to the strike list Friday at noon. Before that was just a handful, it was 3 or 4.
Yes, it is. So this will be day 3 for me. Yes.
Anything else? No? All right. Thank you so much for talking to us. We appreciate it. All right, so folks, again, we are here. We are in Marysville, Michigan. This is a Mopar facility here. It's a rather large one. If you actually want to spin around and show folks the size of this operation, lots of workers here. This is one of the facilities that when they shut down Belvedere, people came to work out. And now wildly we're being told today that they might reopen the Belvedere plant and shut this one down, which seems kind of crazy to me, but that's what's on the table. So this is parts distribution. I think it's important to know that these particular facilities have really good operating margins, profit margins of 30 or 40%. So closing these facilities down is going to hurt. It's going to hurt the company a little bit. So hopefully it'll bring them to the table faster. I think something else that might bring them to the table faster is the fact that Ford is coming to the table with concessions. They came back with a counteroffer to Sean Fain last week in which they said they're going to give back COLA, which is the cost of living wages. They said that they were going to give them the right to strike at facilities that are looking to be closed, plants that are looking to be closed. That is an important concession because it's about job security, right? It matters little if you get these increases in pay, if you get profit sharing back, if you get temporary workers cut down. That matters for naught if the jobs are continue to be shipped overseas and the plants are closed and eliminated. So having that ability to strike this plant is a really big one. And the other thing he got from Ford is taking that to 90 days from the temp workers. So if you're at the facility working under contract, after 9 days you will be moved from temporary to full-time. Instead of working, 5-7 years as a temp employee, moving to full-time and getting your pay cut when you do. We've talked to several people that have experienced that, which is kind of wild that happens. Anyway, I'm not sure we're going to be tomorrow. We are going to be zigzagging across Michigan, maybe pop down to Ohio again. But we are going to be staying on the UAW strike. When I leave town, Jordan's going to come back and continue coverage there. So please make sure you share this live stream, like it. If you can afford to join us as members.
Tell them we'll have to go home in a few days if we can't get enough members.
John says we're going to have to go home in a few days if we don't get enough members. So anyway, we appreciate you guys joining us on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday fun day. The workers out here made it a family day, so they had their kids out here. You can see the chalk work on the pavement here says UAW. They have some barbecues they're doing and whatnot, and they're going to continue picketing on this line until they get what they want and get what they need.
All right, one more time, guys. Go sign up. StatusCoup.com/join. $5 to $10 a month. All right.
I love when John grabs the mic to do the marketing because he knows I'm not very good at it. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us today. Tina-Desiree Berg reporting for Status Coup News. We'll let you know where we're going to be tomorrow, and have a fantastic evening.